Okay, we're getting some fun questions. Where would I put something like Angular? In the trash can behind the screen. Where would I put Gatsby? Probably right above Angular in said trash can. I don't think either of those solve problems in meaningful ways that are better than any other solution. Angular was a really important stepping stone, and we stepped really hard on it when we moved from AngularJS to Angular with V1 to V2, the good old red wedding. And we've learned a lot since, but it's just not making anybody's lives easier at this point. Gatsby was a really cool experiment in how can we use React to generate HTML. And we learned a lot from that experiment. Mostly we learned this is a bad idea, let's not do this. And we don't do this now. And Gatsby has died a slow and necessary death. The big thing Gatsby did wrong is it put GraphQL in the middle for some reason. Makes no sense to put GraphQL inside of a static site builder. That was just a mistake architecturally. I think they've walked it back since, but I honestly don't know because I haven't kept up to date with what Gatsby's up to for 3+ years at this point. Yeah, that's where I stand on all those things. Anybody who's mentioning things that automatically provide GraphQL, I hope you'd know better by now. GraphQL is a way to build an API, not a way to generate an API. Generating APIs is usually bad. Doing it from your database is even worse. First take reroll. Thank you, Dax. It's a good one. So we're rerolling the take about Angular. Specifically, the way Dax asked, if Angular is in the trash, why are there so many people still using it? Can I think of a specific use case? Angular works great for teams that have no ability or buy-in to make decisions themselves. By design, Angular does everything. It provides the routing, it provides the state management, it provides the build tools, it provides the API management, it provides the model view controller model you're expected to use. Angular tells you how to build everything with a very strong opinion about it that has only changed twice ever, and those changes happened really early. So if you want code that is, if you have code that's old and boring and you want it to stay old and boring, keep using Angular, whatever. So somebody say Angular makes sense for enterprise and hiring contract teams that knowing Angular instead of a React stack specific to you. Yeah, since Angular prescribes everything, there's a less chance you have to learn something new when you dive into an Angular code base. But there's also a much higher chance that they've bought into Angular solutions to problems way too hard, and as a result have dug themselves a really big hole, or more importantly, I'm trying to remember how to put this. Yeah, I'm gonna walk that one back slightly. I feel as though the benefit of Angular being there's one way to do things means that developers who don't want more than one way to do things can be content. It is building without agency, in my opinion. And it is really, really hard for me to recommend doing that or that direction when you could pick somebody else's opinionated solution with more modern tools to work with. I would pick Blitz over Angular almost any day. The risk there is Blitz might not be as well maintained and hiring for it will be harder, which is why we haven't seen people move off of Angular, because there's no real happy path off Angular that doesn't involve decisions. And Angular wasn't built for people who want to make decisions. So Drew asked, but the opinionated parts of Angular, like the router, work. So why do there need to be 5 different router packages? Well, Drew, unlike you, I guess, I like when things get better. I really like when things improve. The reason there are 5 different routers is because the first one wasn't good enough for the people who made the second one to use. The second one wasn't good enough for the people who made the third one to use. The third one wasn't good enough for the people who made the fourth one to use, et cetera, et cetera. What you're complaining about here is innovation. That's how things improve and get better. And I really like when my tools improve and get better. If React had the same philosophy that Angular did, we never would have gotten hooks. We never would have gotten partial hydration. We never would have gotten all the cool stuff that's going on with server components. We never would have gotten Next.js. We never would have gotten React Query. We never would have gotten Redux or React Router or Remix or any of the cool things we're here to talk about today. All of this can happen. This community can happen. And arguably, I can exist because React let us as developers make decisions and have agency. React solves one problem decently well. It turns state into UI, and it lets you update that UI, or it lets you quickly send updates to that UI when your state changes. It does really, really good at that in particular. And I love that about React. It stays in its lane. When you compare it to something like even Svelte, where for Svelte to get better, Rich Harris needs to have the time to make Svelte better. He's trying to improve that. He's trying to expand the team and get more people contributing to Svelte. But the problem isn't just the single-threaded nature of his contributions to Svelte. It's the single-threaded nature of his decision-making process for Svelte. Svelte can't really improve past where Rich is mentally because he's the one who is in charge of where Svelte goes because the whole thing is an ecosystem that he built. Whereas in React, there are primitives provided. There are the core hooks like use state, use reducer, use effect, use sync external store, which is dope. And there are components. And from those things, we are able to build all sorts of stuff that the React team doesn't even like. And that is awesome. That is way harder to do in all-in-one frameworks like Angular and like Svelte. And the main reason we see these new solutions getting as much traction, getting as much love, and maintaining the dedicated users that they have is almost entirely because of how good React is at getting developers excited about improving the things it doesn't do. So yeah, React shipping with a router would have made React worse because we never would have had routers that got better over time. And for those that don't know this about me, I do not like React Router. So I am very happy I don't have to use it. Does that answer your question? I think that was a good rant.